Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime. I'm your host, as always, Professor Prime. Today we're going to talk about math in 30 Rock. 30 Rock is a wonderfully weird, absolutely brilliant show. It is a comedy. It is like a layered comedy, right? Because it's like you have this comedy that's about like the behind the scenes of a sketch show that is heavily inspired by SNL, right? Like Saturday Night Live, right? And so it's like there's layers to that, and we're gonna get into it. Now I will try to like stay away from like heavy spoilers and all that good stuff, but assume that there will be spoilers because I don't want to hold back. So here's how the video is gonna go though. We're gonna talk about 30 Rock. We're gonna talk about its premise, a little bit of the background, and we're gonna talk about how math is used along the way, and within universe and the more meta sense for a lot of it because it's a comedy, and I do like talking about that. So yeah, and we're gonna talk about my feelings about the show. Like I dig it hard, and we're gonna talk about why. Yeah, so let's get into it. Again, spoilers ahead. Okay, so when it comes to 30 Rock, like I said, the idea is like it's a comedy, it's a sitcom about uh, you know a sorry the behind the scenes of a sketch show. And before we go too far into that, let's talk about comedy as a whole, right? Like the idea behind a joke is there is a basic formula to it, right? Setup plus punchline equals joke, right? And you could be subversive with that. You can add layers to it, and of course you have to worry about your timing. So you have a lot of things to consider, and this could come to you in the form of words. This can come to you like visually in a number of ways. This could be physical in nature, like when you deal with a joke, and it could also be like jokes within jokes, right? Like and yeah, it can get crazy, and you how you dish out your jokes like in any given episode, right? There's math and figuring out how all that works, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But when I think about 30 Rock, I can't help but like smile a little and just get prepared to laugh because like just thinking about that show is like it's again it's like it's wonderfully weird. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like joke after joke after joke, and I think what's crazy to me is like so there's math and comedy in general, right? But then you extend that idea to a sketch show, and then you have a show about a sketch show. So like within a sketch show, right? Like you have things like, oh well, hey, I'm gonna have this sketch, and I'm gonna have it be a certain amount of time, right? And so you're measuring that out. You're seeing how many jokes you can fit in there. You have to worry about like the actors and their positions, the lighting, the costumes. You have to have a million things to go right, or you have to like adjust when things go wrong, and it's all math. And so you have that idea, right? But then you extend that into a show about it. So it's like you not only have the idea about there being a lot of math and comedy and a lot of math and the idea of a sketch show, but then it's like, well, you are filming things like deliberately within a show about a sketch show. So there's math in that too, and deciding what will happen, and you're taking these deliberate actions to have your desired effect because you might have a sketch within the show that's like going horribly wrong, but you deliberately designed it to be wrong, right? I mean, those were words. It's late. But my point is, right, there's math in how a sketch goes. And then if you're someone and you're designing how a sketch is going to go in a show about sketches, you have to decide, hey, like, what purpose is this sketch serving within our actual show about sketches? And you can see a lot of behind the scenes, right? You get to see the writers, you get to see the decisions that they're making, and you see like the actors and how they're choosing to perform, right? And so there's math in all of that. And then like we in the universe, you're dealing with characters like Liz Lemon, who you're following around. She's a hit writer. She's dedicating a lot of time into her life to TGS, right? The Girly Show. I always hated that name, but like so like TGS is the stand-in for like SNL, and I hated that name because like it's like it sounds so silly, right? But that's what TGS stands for, right? Like so in any case, right? It's the stand-in for SNL, and you see like Liz over the course of that like uh her journeys with that, and also being mentored by Jack, like who she like clashed with originally, and he's all into money, and you see that side of it when you're dealing with like the sketches and the writing and dealing with your team because you can't get around money and while you're making a show, right? You can't get around time. You also see like different actors throughout that series, and like the main ones who are on TGS are like Jenna and Tracy, and so you see those characters and how like they interact, and they're wild. They're really funny, and so it's like really cool because right, you have this show where they're making a show, right? Like they are writing things that are meant to be funny, right? They are creating comedy within the show, and there's comedy and creating that comedy within the show, right? Because we're seeing this like extra layer, and then when you think about the jokes, like I talked about the basic setup, right? And you get to play around with that, and like 30 Rock plays around with the jokes hard. They're firing them off, right? There's so many of them, and some of them are so layered and so detailed, and so intricate. You might not discover them while watching it even a few times, and I think that's cool, right? So it's like there's a lot of math in making all that work, and just like it's definitely elements where they matter about it. It's cool to see like some idea about how some things may or may not work behind the scenes. But like 30 Rock, they did well. They did very well. So for like 7 seasons, nearly 140 episodes, they killed it, right? And yeah, it'd be nice if there was more, but it's like I'm glad with what we got. I could look back, I could watch that series, and like I could laugh pretty much any season in most episodes, right? Like also it was like pretty cool because like Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, used to write for 30 Rock at one point, right? So that's pretty cool too. So yeah, it was like it was interesting to follow the journey of the characters that we see, and like just seeing how the humor is delivered because it's like it's expertly done. Yeah. So if you haven't seen 30 Rock, you should. It's really fun and it's really funny. I'll see you in the future.